Meditation is practicing dying. So what do I mean by that? So when you're meditating, you slow your breath down to very little. You calm your mind. You still your body. But though all of these things are obviously replicating, bringing all of your bodily sensation, all your bodily awareness, all your bodily experience down to a point, a concentrated point, what a lot of people don't realize is that the phases of consciousness that your brain is going through, once you're fairly good at meditation, once you're able to reach that threshold where you can actually change your brain frequency and you feel it. If you open your eyes while you're meditating, if you keep your eyes closed, then they'll be slightly blurry or hazy because you are already activating that part of yourself that is a deeper level of consciousness. So there's a feeling to it. It's not necessarily a numb feeling. It's kind of this ache that's kind of toward the center of the brain and a little bit back. There's like this ache that kind of like spreads out because your brain is getting a deeper level of rest than it's used to, or than it usually does, because we don't spend most of our time meditating. We're either awake or we're asleep. But that threshold and that level of consciousness that we bring ourselves down to, that is a level of consciousness that we have to pass through when we die. We have to pass through that, and we have to pass through the dreaming brain, basically. So when we dream, that is a level of consciousness. That is a level of consciousness that we need to have during the night in order to have rest. Now, hopefully, we also have the deep sleep level of consciousness, and that also gives us rest. That's different parts of ourselves needing different things in order to feel rested as a united whole. So when we die, we have to pass through that dream state, and we have to pass through that deeper consciousness state. When we look at some of the more disturbing dreams that we have, or the nightmares, it can be incredibly, I would say, a little bit distressing, because if we have to pass through that state of consciousness before we exit here, then we might have to pass through something that's kind of like not the nightmares that we have, but in a more concentrated point. We'll be a little bit more aware while we're doing it, because it's happening in a more complete way as we're passing through the levels of consciousness into a different plane of existence. So we will pass through our dream states / nightmare state. So, but it is not like passing through your nightmares with all of your senses as you are when you're awake, or all of your faculties, all of your feelings and sense of sensation. It's not like having all of those faculties at your disposal. It's very similar to how you are when you're in the nightmare, when you're having the nightmare while you're still alive and not dying, or not going from this plane of existence. It's good to try to decrease the amount of nightmares you have through meditation, but also through trying to understand why you're having these nightmares, what is causing these nightmares, what is the external stimuli that is adding to you having these nightmares, because it's affecting you on a deeper level, not as deep as deep sleep or deep meditation level, but on a deeper level than our usual conscious state. Your external stimuli is affecting you and giving you nightmares for some reason. People don't just have nightmares without some kind of external stimuli, at least the vast majority don't. And figuring out what is causing you to have nightmares that you don't enjoy, that's what makes it a nightmare, I guess, that'll better prepare your mind to not be this person, and to pass into a different realm more easily, more fluidly, than if you had to go through that nightmare state when you die while you still have nightmares. This kind of explains why people have experiences of heavens or hells, having to pass through that nightmare or dream state. Now, when you're passing into light, and you don't usually dream about light, it's kind of like the other dimension is showing you the way by piercing through all your levels of consciousness and guiding you towards it. If you have an experience of hell, don't worry, it's not going to last that long. Once again, you don't have full faculties, you don't have full sensation. You're still in a kind of dreamy state while you're passing through this nightmare, hellish place because of the state of consciousness that you usually had when you were alive. But the hell doesn't last that long. But it explains the experience people have of a hell or a hellish dimension. And then when they come back, they say, "Oh, I've been to hell." Yeah, but you didn't go through all the way. You didn't go through the hell and then all the way to a different dimension. You're never stuck in that in between state for very long. But people who came back, they started the process, but they didn't end up dragged all the way, or they didn't go all the way, and they were able to come back. And so that's their experience of the afterlife that they're giving us. They haven't gone to the afterlife fully. Even people who have have had an experience of heaven and have come back and said it was heaven. You didn't go all the way. You didn't completely die. You were in the process of dying, but you didn't completely die. The processes were happening within you, and then he came back. So when we're in deep sleep, why do we look forward to deep sleep? A sleep that we don't remember, we don't have any dreams in, we don't have any sensation or awareness in, yet we look forward to it, and we wake up loving having had it. Why do we look forward to that state? Why is that state something desirable to us, naturally desirable? It is a level of awareness where the mind, so when we dream, whether it's dreaming or nightmares, the mind is still active. But the soul itself is resting with the source, with God, when we were asleep, when we are asleep. Whether we're dreaming or having nightmares or in deep sleep, our soul is with God. Now, the difference between nightmares and dreams and our mind being active is that when we go into deep sleep and we don't have any memory of it, and we weren't dreaming, our mind was completely inactive, turned off. Our soul was still with source, still with God. But if we're dreaming and having nightmares, our mind is active, but our soul is still with source, with God. Now, it may seem strange that we fragment, and there's different parts of us that go to different places or are doing different things. Our energy body might be in the astral realm, though all dreams and nightmares aren't the astral realm. But I mean, our energy body could go there, and our mind could be doing something else, and our soul is with God, with the source. So why do we fragment? Why is it like that? Why do different parts of us go to different places? So you're all together. All these parts are together, but the different parts are different parts of your, kind of through different parts of the brain, are at different frequencies. So you're all still together, but the different parts of yourself are at different frequencies in the same place, but in different dimensions. So we kind of, when we sleep, whether we're dreaming or in deep sleep, our different parts of ourselves, we kind of expand. So we're still at a singular point, still at the same place, but we expand across multiple dimensions, you could say, and in different areas. But when we wake up, that expansion stops and we're awake again. So meditation, practicing dying, is you experience different states of consciousness when you're meditating. And you kind of touch that deep sleep consciousness, and that's where you have to travel to when you're dying. At least you have to travel to source for a little bit before going to a different astral birth or becoming into this material universe again. But you kind of touch base. You have to travel to that when you're kind of touching that when you're meditating. You're not, in samadhi or nirvikalpa samadhi, some kind of samadhi, you are experiencing everything and source. Well, everything is source ultimately, but in other kinds of meditation where we haven't achieved samadhi, you're still touching that state of deep sleep and touching source. And the mind is very active when you're trying to meditate. It has all these different thoughts in a row, and then it goes round and round and round. So stopping those thoughts from existing in your mind, or at least taking major control of your mind, is one of the major tasks in meditation. It also can help us not have negative thoughts or bad imagery when we're when we're having nightmares or dreaming. How we tame the mind during meditation is very much how it can be tamed when we're in that dream or nightmare state, to where eventually we don't have nightmares anymore. But it takes a lot of meditation, it takes a lot of expertise. But when you're meditating, you have to pass through all these levels of consciousness, at least you have to deal with them in some way or touch them in some way, just like when you're dying, when you die. Whether you're meditating or dying, meditation is very good practice for dying. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting. I hope that it hit home. I hope that it made sense. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot them down in the comment section below on YouTube, and feel free to like this video. Both those things help this channel out a lot, and feel free to share this wherever you like. At any rate, thank you very much for watching, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day.